guys, it's me, Shani, and today I'm going to be doing the eyeshadow palette tag. It was, I believe, created by Samantha March, and it's just a bunch of like different prompts of your blank eyeshadow palette, and I picked out all my answers, and I'm really excited to show you guys that eyeshadow palettes are my absolute favorite thing to collect, and my favorite part of makeup is eyeshadow, so I just have a lot, and I'm so excited to go through. It was really fun, and picking out like what my favorite blank eyeshadow palette is, etc. So yeah, I'm gonna do this little tag video, and I tag anybody who wants to do it or who has a channel, or you can put your answers down below in my comments. That would be awesome. So let's just get right into it. So the first question is what is your newest eyeshadow palette? So for me, my newest eyeshadow palette right now is the Nomad Cosmetics Studio 54 little quad eyeshadow palette. This is so cute. I love the packaging, and Studio 54 was my dad's band name a long time ago, my whole growing up period. So this just means something special to me. And these shades are absolutely gorgeous. They are multi-chrome, so they have like shifting, they have like this pink has blue has a blue shift, this yellow has a pink shift, and then there's like a blue and a green, and they're just so pretty, and I'm really excited. I've only used the yellow on my eyes so far, but I'm really excited to use the rest of it because the yellow La Freak is so pretty. It was amazing on the eyes, so I'm super excited about this new little palette, and it definitely hits home with me because of Studio 54 being my dad's disco band name, and yeah, it's just really cool. And he also like performed all the songs that the names are, La Freak, I'm Coming Out, Got to Be Real. Like, it's just super cute, and I love it. My boyfriend got me this for our 2-year dating anniversary. Okay, so next is your oldest palette. So I did some digging, and I think my oldest palette is the Lorac Pro, and my oldest palette was the Naked 2, or from Urban Decay, but I did declutter. I actually threw that out. So Naked 2 would have been, but the Lorac Pro is my oldest in my collection that I still own, that I still have, and it is pretty banged up. I got this so long ago, and I absolutely loved it. It is one row of mattes, one row of shimmers. I feel like everybody has these, but it doesn't get much talk anymore these days on YouTube or anything, but it is a really great staple eyeshadow palette, I would say. So yeah, I have to shout out my Lorac Pro palette. I have a lot of memories with this palette. I love it. Alright, your most expensive palette actually surprised me. I have all these palettes in front of me, so excuse me, but my most expensive is actually this Better Together Too Faced and Kat Von D little palette. I actually don't use this palette much. This is the Too Faced side, and this is the Kat Von D, now KVD Beauty side. And I do like this palette. I actually had this on display for years and years and years just because I thought it was such a cute palette, the way it's heart-shaped, but I never use it anymore. But I was searching up prices to see what my most expensive eyeshadow palette is, and it is this one, I believe, because this was $65, but it did come with an eyeshadow, not an eyeshadow, I'm sorry, a mascara and an eyeliner, so, but you couldn't get the palette alone without those extras, so this technically was $65, and I do have some like $58 palettes, but this was $65, so I had to include it, even though I believe the $65 price tag was because of the other products that came with it as well. So yeah, this would be my most expensive eyeshadow palette, and I hardly use it now, so that's kind of sad, but that is my most expensive. And then my least expensive is actually the e.l.f. Bite Size eyeshadows. I have Cream and Sugar, Pumpkin Pie. This is the only one I haven't used yet. I have Berry Bad and Rose Water, and the shimmers in these are absolutely amazing, and these are $3. The mattes are alright, but for $3, you can't go wrong. The shimmers are really, really nice on these little quads, so I would recommend them for the shimmers, and the mattes can be iffy, but very nice. So those are my least expensive eyeshadow palettes. Okay, so for everyday palette, I actually have two picks. I'm going to start with a runner-up. I chose the Violet Voss Essentials eyeshadow palette. This is such a nice everyday palette because you have your neutrals, you have your pinks and purples, and you have like, you know, a black, but you also have this emerald. I don't know, I feel like this is a really, really great everyday palette. You have nice crease shades, you have a inner corner shade, so I really like this formula. It's very buttery, very creamy, very everyday friendly. So this is something I wanted to choose, but I ended up choosing the Lunar Beauty Greek Goddess palette. This is just so, so gorgeous. I got this for Valentine's Day last year from my boyfriend, and it's just so, so nice. You got your pinks, you got your neutrals, you got a pop of blue. Like, this is definitely an everyday palette for me, and the formula is just so, so good and so pigmented. So I would say this was the answer I wrote down, but I wanted to mention this Violet Voss palette I got from BoxyCharm because it's also a really great everyday palette. Alright, so most colorful. This one wasn't that hard to be honest. I chose the Urban Decay Electric palette. This, I don't even know why I still have it in my collection. It is very, very old, but it's definitely the most colorful, and it has like all of the rainbow pretty much. So I had to choose the Urban Decay Electric palette. Even though I do have a lot of colorful eyeshadow palettes now, this is still by far the most colorful because it has kind of everything in one. So I had to choose Urban Decay Electric. I wonder who else still has that in their collection, because it's just one of those I just never can bring myself to declutter, because it's like kind of like a collector's piece almost. So smallest palette is number 7. I chose the Kaja Beauty Bento because it is 3 little eyeshadows and it is pretty small. I could have chose the e.l.f. bite-size eyeshadow palettes, but I wanted to spice it up and choose this little Beauty Bento in Chocolate Dahlia. And these are so nice. I really want more of them. There's this super nice shimmery shade at the top, a like medium brown, like cool brown, and then a darker brown. And you can just create the fastest little look with this palette, and I really enjoy it. So this is my smallest eyeshadow palette. And then biggest palette, I actually have to say it is the Kat Von D or KVD Beauty Fetish palette. And this is huge. I actually don't really like big eyeshadow palettes, so I don't have many. Here's the Kaja next to the big one. It's just pretty big, and this was like my only big one. I don't have many big eyeshadow palettes, but here it is. While it is a big eyeshadow palette, I think there are really cool colors. It's not like a Morphe palette where there's so many colors where you're like, why did you include it in there? You know, this one's very unique, and it's stuck around in my collection, even if I didn't really like Kat Von D. Now it is KVD Beauty, which I like better. But it's stuck around in my collection because it's so, I don't know, it's like weird colors that I don't have anywhere else, and I just want to keep it around. So here's my biggest palette, the Fetish palette. Number 9 is Best Memory. I have a few here. I have 2 runner-ups, and then I'll reveal my favorite. First, I wanted to mention the Melt Myrte palette. This is such a gorgeous color scheme. I absolutely love it, but the reason this is part of the Best Memory runner-up category because it's because when I saw this in store, it released that day on Black Friday this year, and I was there with my brother, and I had gotten like no sleep the night before because of Thanksgiving, and I was having a sleepover at my brother's house, and we were up all night catching up. And anyways, I had no sleep, and I saw this palette. I got so excited. I literally cried. I cried my eyes out. I was like, oh my god, like, I was just so happy and so sleep deprived, and it was the funniest moment, and my brother still laughs about it, so I had to buy it in the moment, even though this was $58, I believe. But yeah, so that's a funny memory of me crying in Sephora when I saw this palette. So that's one memory, and then another runner-up is the Subculture palette. I saw this at Marshall's not in my town, it was in where my brother lives, and I literally like freaked out. I was so excited, and him and my boyfriend were there, and they were just dying laughing at how excited I was to find this palette, because it was like right when they started stocking these in TJ Maxx and Marshalls, and I hadn't seen it at my TJ Maxx, but at their Marshalls where my brother lives, I saw it, and I was just so excited. And so and they like, my boyfriend has a picture of me with this palette like freaking out, so it just really makes me happy, and it's a funny memory as well. So those are the runner-ups, but the one I chose was not the Urban Decay, the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. It's just always been there for me. It's such a tried and true palette, and I would say this could be an everyday palette for me as well, but I just had to give it best memory because I graduated college, I graduated high school. I'm messing up my words. I graduated high school wearing this palette. I started college with this palette. Like, I wore it to so many different like special events, and I did wear this on my first date with my boyfriend, so it's just very significant. Just a lot of great memories with this palette, especially like my first date and stuff. So yeah, I just had to give it to this palette. I just have a really nice sentimental feeling to this because every time I had like a big event, I would pull out this palette because it was just very significant to me in that time. And even though I don't use it as much anymore, I do really love this palette. So yeah, number 10 is Worth the Hype. So for Worth the Hype, I actually did put the Conspiracy palette Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star created. This was the most hyped up palette I've ever seen with their series on YouTube and everything. And I got my hands on it, and oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. The pigmentation, the colors, it's just so fun, and the little stamps here, oh my gosh, I just love it. And I have to say, it's definitely worth the hype in my opinion. I just felt so creative looking at this palette and like so excited. I did so many different color combos, like more so than any other palette I've ever owned. So definitely worth the hype right here. I love this palette. Not worth the hype, I decided to go with the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. This is just, it's alright. I actually bought this at the same time that I bought Modern Renaissance, and it's nice, but it just, you come up with the same look literally every single time. I feel like it's just nothing that exciting. The shades are alright, but it's nothing really worth it. So I have to say this is not really worth the hype. I don't know. That's just my opinion there. Then favorite palette from a favorite brand, I picked out two because I couldn't decide. I picked out from ColourPop the Sweet Talk palette. Love the packaging, love the colors in here, the corals, the pinks. It's just so nice, and I just get really happy every time I look at this palette. So I had to mention this one, but also from Anastasia, I chose the Sultry palette. I just love the packaging. I love all these shades. It's just such good quality. The shimmers are so beautiful, and the mattes work. They're very blendable. There's just such a reliability with Anastasia palettes, and this one is just really beautiful. So I had to shout out this palette as well. And then lastly, most used palette, and I actually decided that it is the Lorac Pro, which is kind of funny. So it's my oldest palette, and it also is my most used. I have 1, 2, 3 pans in it, but there's so many dips. Like, if you can see, there are like huge dips where I feel like if I just used it a little bit more, I would have so many more pans, because I really abused this palette back in the day. I don't reach for it at all really anymore, but there's a lot of dips in here, and actually my Lorac Pro 3 palette has a lot of pans and dips as well, but I examined the two and I think this one is the most used in my collection. So yeah, I have 3 pans and a bunch of shades that are about to have pans too, so that is my most used. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. I love eyeshadow palettes and I loved doing this tag, and yeah, I hope you have a great day and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!